Hello, my name is Vanessa Caballero and I am going to be presenting information about the diet habits and lifestyles of the United States of America. So let's start this presentation off with what Americans are eating on a daily basis. According to the chart on the left, which was provided by the Dietary Guidelines for Americans, this graph shows what Americans are lacking and surpassing in terms of their daily recommendations. As you can see on their left, the intake of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, dairies, proteins, and oils seems to be below the recommended amount. For example, in terms of vegetables, it seems a little over 80% of the population is below the recommended daily amount of vegetables. On the other side of the spectrum, it seems that Americans are eating more than they should be of sodium, saturated fats, and added sugars. In doing this, they are consuming high-calorie meals too often, which can lead to the passing of their recommended calorie intake. Therefore, it seems that Americans are passing the suggested amount in all the unhealthy food areas, on the same token, not meeting the requirements for the healthy food. Here are some examples of popular foods in America. If you take notice, a lot of these foods have a lot of unhealthy traits in common. A lot of the foods are high in sodium, they contain a lot of saturated fats, and nowadays a lot of it is processed with added additives to make it last longer and taste better. Americans also seem to be big fans of deep frying their foods, which make it even more harmful to their bodies. Another notable detail is that meat is very prominent in a lot of their dishes. Meat is present in almost every meal, starting with breakfast with some bacon and eggs, next in their cheeseburger lunches, and finally a steak for dinner. Therefore, as you can see, meat, along with sodium and saturated fats, are usually going to be present in the standard American meal. So what sort of effects is this kind of diet going to have on your typical American? Well, according to my sources, the most prevalent health issues in America start off with heart disease. Next, you'll see cancer, and then accidents, chronic lower respiratory disease, and finally strokes. A lot of these issues, besides accidents, have a lot to do with what you put in your mouth. Therefore, what is the connection between these two? Their diets seem to be a big influencer on the following diseases: heart disease, cancers, and strokes. A lot of the foods that Americans eat are high in cholesterol, sodium, and saturated fats. Cholesterol, which can lead to heart problems, helps lead to the buildup of plaque, which can then lead to the restriction of blood circulation to the heart, which can lead to a heart attack and/or stroke. According to Michael Greger's book, How Not to Die, cholesterol seems to be the number one contributor to heart disease. And cholesterol is very prominent in the American diet, which is why heart disease seems to be the number one most prevalent health issue. Next on the list would be cancer. Now, the number one killing cancer is lung cancer, which is caused by smoking. Number two, however, is the colorectal cancer, which, according to studies, is caused by an excess of heme iron, which is found mostly in meat. With meat being a very prominent food in the American diet, it is no surprise that colorectal cancer would be a top killer in the States. Now, is there another thing that could possibly be affecting the health of Americans? Maybe something such as globalization. Well, I went ahead and did some research, and I found that globalization does not seem to have the same negative effect on Americans that it seems to be having on middle and low-income countries. The Western diet, which is more unhealthy and contains more processed foods, seems to be spreading more now throughout the globe because of how cheap and practical it can be. Thus, globalization seems to be having a positive effect on Americans because it has helped them become wealthier and enjoy one of the highest standards of living. Therefore, globalization does not seem to be a leading cause behind the unhealthy diets of Americans. Well, for my first recommendation, I would recommend that they cut out all animal products and processed foods as soon as possible. A lot of the health issues that Americans have a lot to do with their diet, and their diets comprise mostly of meat and processed foods. Therefore, cutting all this out would have a positive effect almost immediately on their bodies. According to Michael Greger, the body seems to thrive more on a plant-based diet. Therefore, my next recommendation would be to add more fruits and vegetables to their diet to start off with. Next, they should be adding some nuts, seeds, whole grains, and beans, and plenty of water. Most importantly, the fruits and veggies that should be implemented are the ones that have bright colors such as strawberries, purple grapes, spinach, kale, because a lot of these fruits are very high in antioxidants, which can help prevent a lot of health issues as well. Therefore, with simply these 2 recommendations, Americans would experience a big improvement in their health. However, this final recommendation is also beneficial for people because it helps improve their immune system and helps them stay fit and healthy. Thus, I would recommend at least exercising for 3 hours a week minimum. A lot of the studies demonstrate that the most benefits come when you exercise and when you eat the best diet for everyone, which is a plant-based diet, because this diet will help keep you healthy, while at the same time help prevent a lot of diseases from forming. Therefore, to reap the best of both worlds, exercising in a plant-based diet will keep you in the best possible shape for the years to come. In conclusion, all these recommendations are in the best interest for Americans and will help solve a lot of their health issues. Thank you very much for watching my presentation, and I hope you learned something new from it.